Hey everybody, it's Joe from greenlightsound.com with some big news from Universal Audio. UAD, Universal Audio, has gone native. Up until this point, if you wanted to use any of Universal Audio's plugins, which are fantastic tools that I use all the time, you had to have it associated with a piece of hardware, either an interface or a satellite with DSP built in. The plugins only ran on their specific chips called Shark chips, and there were no native versions. That was like a big entryway to get into the system. You had to buy an expensive piece of hardware first. Some people don't like hardware attached to their system. If you're on a mobile rig, it's really tough to have a satellite or an interface that you have to always carry around specific to Universal Audio. But now we have some native versions. There are a couple of caveats to it. Number one, it's not all of the Universal Audio plugins. It's just a handful for now. Number two, it's only available through this UAD Spark subscription service. And number three, as of right now, it's Mac only. It says, if I scroll down just a little bit, Windows coming fall 2022. So probably about 6 months from now, you're going to see some Windows support. It does say our ever expanding library. So my guess is if you continue to subscribe to UAD Spark, you're going to keep getting plugins added from their back catalog or maybe even new ones as they port them into the native versions. What you get included in this package are the LA2A collection, which is actually 3 different LA2A compressors. The 1176 collection, which is 3 1176 compressors, including the blue stripe, and the anniversary edition, which is awesome. API 2500 bus compressor, another great compressor. So you got your channel compression and bus compression all set. For reverb and delay, you've got the classic Lexicon 224 digital reverb, a plate reverb. Pure plate is UAD's kind of simplified EMT plate version, and the Galaxy Tape Echo, the old Roland unit, really famous. And for preamps and channel strips, we have the API Vision Channel Strip Plus, which is fantastic. I use that one all the time. The Studer Tape Machine and the Neve 1073, some more classic gear down here. And then you also get a couple bonus virtual instruments here. The Ravel Grand Piano and the Moog used to be only available in Luna, which is UAD's DAW. Now they can be used in any system. And you've got a new Hammond B3 virtual instrument and a synth up here, which is only going to be in UAD Spark. This one's not available for purchase separately. So you've got some virtual instruments, some channel strips, tapes, reverb, delay, compression, your basic elements of getting a good mix started with this classic modeled analog gear. In terms of price, if you scroll down and you click on Start My Free Trial, you can figure out what the price is. It's actually $20 a month to pay month to month, $150 a year to pay for the full year in advance, and there's a 14-day free trial. Now, one major bonus for users like me who already were on the UAD platform is that if you owned any of these plugins in the old UAD 2 version, the one tied to the hardware, you automatically get the native version for free and don't have to subscribe. That's fantastic if you're in UAD already. So I had the LA2A, 1176, the API, both APIs actually, the 1073. I had all these and I got the native versions for free, which is a really big bonus for people who are already in the system. So jumping over to the DAW really quickly, I've got 2 different copies of the API Vision Channel Strip. The one on the left, you can see at the very bottom says UAD2. That's the one tied to the hardware running on their DSP. The one on the right here is the native version. It doesn't have that little UAD2 strip at the bottom. That's a different kind of preset manager on top. Other than that, they are identical. And the big question people will ask is, are they identical in sound? Is the native version kind of a cheapened version because UA kind of described their plugins as being better because they ran on their Shark chips for a while? And I can say right now, they are absolutely 100% identical, scientifically proven to be identical. Let me show you how. First thing I'm going to do is bypass both of these on a guitar channel. So here are my 2 guitar tracks. They are the same exact thing copied. So if I play one, it sounds like this. I'm going to solo both up, but I'm going to flip the polarity on one. The phase is reversed. Now you're not going to hear a thing when I hit play. There we go. Meters are on, but there's no sound. They are completely nulling because they are the same track, completely phase inverted. So I've got my 2 API channel strips set the exact same way. It's running through the preamp. It's running through a high pass filter. It's got some compression on, and it's got some EQ on. So everything but the gate is engaged right now. If I put both plugins on, I'll mute one of the channels just so you can hear how it sounds. All right, solo them both up, reverse the polarity on one side, I'm flipping the phase over, and here's what we get. Nothing. completely nulls. No sound at all. That means these two plugins are doing the exact same thing. They are identical. There is no advantage sonically of using the old UAD 2 version on their chips versus using this native version. And in fact, there's a couple of benefits to it. On the UAD platform, I've got an Apollo X6, which has 6 Shark chips in it. One instance of the API takes up 5% of my processing power, which means at max, I could run 20 of these things in a session. Now, just running the console from Universal Audio takes up a little bit of processing, so I probably could only get 19 in before I totally ran out of processing power on the UA system. And in order to gain more processing power, I'd have to buy an expensive satellite with 4 or 8 additional chips in it. I've got a relatively old Mac system here. This is a 2015 system, so the CPU is not the latest and greatest. Now, the native version of the channel strip, when I used it, I only was starting out at about 2% CPU usage. And of course, your mileage will vary depending on what processing power you've got in your system, but it's actually a little bit more efficient to run on the native CPU processing than it is on the Shark chips, which makes sense because they're pretty old technology, I think. So I could definitely get more into the session with the API running natively. Now, of course, if I'm running other plugins natively and I'm running out of processing power, it's kind of great to have this hybrid setup where I can run some on the UA DSP, but still run some UA plugins natively. That's fantastic. When choosing the plugins, especially in Studio One, it's really easy. They're notated differently. The Universal Audio plugins are listed as Universal Audio. The new ones are UADX, and they're in a different category here. So in my opinion, a really good step in the right direction from Universal Audio, starting to allow these fantastic plugins, and these are some of the best plugins out there, absolutely. They are the best 1176 and LA2A you can buy, for sure, plugin-wise. Not saying hardware, plugin-wise. They're the best plugin versions you can buy in all of the ones I've tried, and I've tried a lot of them. But to be able to get them natively is fantastic for anybody who wants to get into the system. And $150 a year, though, kind of steep, and people don't like subscriptions, for Universal Audio is not that big of a price, and you get a lot of great tools to use in your mixes with that. So highly recommended. If you aren't in the system already, check out UAD Spark. These are great plugins. I use them all over every mix I do. If you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already, so we can keep you in the loop as to what's coming up next, and I'll see you in the next one.